My name is Joe Dalton, entrepreneur and business coach. Welcome to Breakthrough Brands. Each week we bring you an inspirational story and an insight to the minds of some of the top business leaders, authors and mentors from around the globe. Whatever is needed to make you shine in life and business, you'll find it here.
On this week's show, we have Jeb Blount. Jeb is a best-selling author. He is also a sales acceleration specialist who helps organizations reach peak performance fast by optimizing talent, leveraging training to cultivate high-performance sales culture, developing leadership and coaching skills, and applying more effective organizational design. Through his companies, he advises many of the world's leading organizations and their executives on the impact of emotional intelligence and interpersonal skills on sales, leadership, customer experience, channel development, and strategic account management. Under Jeb's leadership, Sales Gravy has become a global leader in sales acceleration solutions, including sales recruitment and staffing, sales onboarding, automation, custom sales training, curriculum development and delivery, sales coaching, and online learning.
If you wish to reach me about any of the topics covered in this episode or any other episode, you can get me on WhatsApp 086 821 0037 or email joe@jdc.ie or follow me on LinkedIn under Joseph Dalton. I also need your help to spread the word. If you could please take 2 minutes to share, like or make a comment on this episode, I would be truly grateful. And Jeb, welcome to Breakthrough Brands. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm awesome. I can't believe that I have you on. I'm so happy and delighted. And the reason I've been chasing you for a long time to get you on the show, you've been very active on social media and you stir up a storm with all those salespeople out there and all the sales trainers about what you feel, what works and what doesn't work. But before we get into that, tell me, how did you get into sales? Where did the whole idea start with yourself?
I was in high school and I joined the yearbook staff when I was in 11th grade, which would be my junior year. And I only joined the yearbook staff because there were girls on the yearbook staff and I wanted to hang out with girls. And I thought it'd be pretty easy to take pictures of things and put them in a book. And our teacher gave us these ad sheets because you had to sell ads for the yearbook. So all the kids, at the end of the year, we'd still go out and sell ads. And so I got the ad sheet and I went out and started selling ads. And I didn't realize that you were supposed to go home to your parents and get your parents to give you like $300 for the ad. I went to the local businesses in my town and started asking for advertising, and I ended up selling $3,000 worth of ads. And came back and really, first of all, I really enjoyed the fact that it blew everybody away that I sold so much. I liked it when I was asking people for money and they gave me money. I call that sales crack. It was awesome. And then they made me the editor of the yearbook. And I realized that if you can outsell people, then you get promotions, you get the accolades, you get money, you get all kinds of stuff.
Write your own paycheck.
I fell in love with it from there. And I've been in sales in some capacity ever since, either in sales or leading sales, from most of my life. So when it came time to start a business, the only thing I really know how to do was sales. So I started Sales Gravy, and I've been selling Sales Gravy ever since.
And how long is Sales Gravy going?
11 years.
Wow.
Typical story. It was in the middle of the recession. That was the worst financial crisis of my lifetime. And I worked for a huge company. I was a vice president of sales for a $14 billion company. And when the bottom fell out of everything, like many, many people, I was faced with career choices. And I decided at that moment to become an entrepreneur versus going back into the corporate world. And it was a really, really hard decision to make because I had the safety and security of the corporate world. And it wouldn't have been hard for me to go back and get another executive job at a large company. It was just that, it was that moment of truth where I had to make a decision, and I chose the entrepreneurial route. And of course, it was a grind for 4 or 5 years of just really, really hard work. But it's all paid off today. We're a business. We're doubling the size of our company every single year now. So
That's amazing.
but there's a lot of people who have the same story, that they just, you hit that moment where there's this break in everything that you thought was supposed to be your life. And I was in my dream job, so it wasn't like I was, in a situation where I didn't like my job. I wasn't trying to get away from it. It just got away from me.
It's crazy. As you know, I had Alice Hyman on, and she tells a similar story, with the recession and everything as well. And similar to myself, it was a real case of, letting go and really figuring out who I was or who I am and just being the true me. And I think once people start being the true person, their businesses will flourish. But you're right about one thing. I don't think anyone really understands the first 2-3 years of a business and what the hell you go through, splitting up the burger at night and sharing it between the 4 people and not being able to go to the cinema because you're just working on that business. But I think it's having the focus and the end result which makes us entrepreneurs.
I agree. It's a grind. I mean, I clearly remember, waking up, the first 3 to 4 years, I would wake up
crying
at least once a week in the middle of the night, like in a complete panic.
Yeah.
That I was going to fail, and have to crawl back and beg somebody to give me a job. And, and in a lot of respects, once you go down the entrepreneurial route, as, and from a business standpoint, it's very hard for companies to hire you back. So I knew that in some ways I was basically
screwed,
making myself unemployable. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think people realize. You're exactly right. I mean, the times when my family would go do something and I'm sitting at my desk, I would work. Back in those years, I worked until my body hurt. I mean, literally my entire physical being
exhaustion
would be aching from exhaustion.
Yeah.
And we still work hard. I mean, don't get me wrong. My wife and I, and my wife's our CFO, for our company, the two of us, we work pretty much 7 days a week. I mean, there is rarely time that we take any time off, but it's not like it used to be. Like today, I know that if Saturday goes by and I don't work, the business is going to be fine. I know tomorrow we're going to make money. I know that we're not in a situation where there's any imminent, disaster waiting for us. You're at a place where the business sustains itself almost. I mean, there's almost a place where if I left the business and someone else came in, this company could keep on running. But boy, I tell you what, you're exactly right. I don't think people really get what it takes in the early years of being an entrepreneur in terms of grind in order to make it happen.
Look, it's something I've said on many a show. If starting up your own business was easy, we'd have no employees and everybody be self-employed.
That's a good way. That's a great way of putting it. I like that. Yes,
that's the reality of it. Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah, and we're the ones that kind of go right, and when everything else is falling to shit, you go right. I can do this and keep plugging away on it. So look, getting into sales, a lot of people out there and they go, oh, the phone is dead, and there's other people that argue that prospecting doesn't exist anymore and it's all about social media. And now there's a big talk about social selling, which in my day, 20, 30 years ago when I was selling, we were social selling, but we just did it differently. We didn't have platforms. We basically met people for a pint.
Yes, that's right.
So I read your book there a couple of months ago on prospecting, and it blew my mind out, and it resonated a lot with my opinion. What drove you to write it? Was it hearing a lot of stories from a lot of people, or was it just going, I need to get this message out here and tell people what's really going on with sales?
I got pissed off. I mean, the reason I wrote Fanatical Prospecting is I just got pissed off. So I'm a sales practitioner. I've been selling my whole life. And we just go back to the grind of building my business. And just imagine that one day you're a corporate executive. The next day you don't have a job, so you have to go figure it out on your own. Yeah. What are you going to do? Like build a website and wait for people to come to you? Mm-hmm. No. I mean, you gotta pay bills. You got to feed your family. You got to look your spouse in the eyes and say, I'm going to start my own business, but I'm going to be able to sustain us. So what did I do? Man, I sat at a desk in my home and I started making cold calls. That's what I did.
Yeah.
And I picked up the phone and I called companies, and I did it for 2 solid years. I cold called, just me. Now I went from, just give you an example of this so people get the picture of this. I went from corner office with 2 assistants, flying around on the corporate jet, basically massive expense account, living, the life of an executive in a Fortune 500 company, which is almost like being a rock star in some cases at that level. I went from that to picking up the phone and cold calling. And the reason I did that was because I knew that that worked, because that's how I got the corporate job to begin with, because I was the best salesperson in my company year in and year out, and I got promoted because I was able to do that. So I had complete faith in my ability to build my company, because I knew if I talked to people, I could sell stuff. So that's what I did. And you know what I also did? I went out and in the early days, I would go out and I would go to like conventions and job fairs, and I would crash job fairs because salespeople and sales leaders were there, and I would go talk to them. And I got kicked out by security a bunch of times, but I would just go do that. And I did that and did that and did that and did that. And I built one company after another company after another company, another customer after another customer. And, you know, and one day at my first enterprise client, I sold them, I mean, a big old huge client. The whole thing was from making cold calls.
Yeah.
So I know what works. I know what works is that you have to talk to a lot of people. Now, clearly, if you talk to the right people, it works even better. If you're more targeted, it's even better. If you call the right people at the right time, even better. Is that to say that social selling, which is basically, just so we're just really clear on this, it's marketing. I mean, all it is marketing. That's all social selling is. You're not selling anything on social media. You're creating familiarity. You're getting out there.
You're making your
people.
brand aware. People are exactly know. Like, I do the radio show here on Dublin South FM. I do the podcasts. I do the short little 1-minute videos, and I throw them up on LinkedIn. I write the blogs. All that is just making people go, I exist. I am here.
Yeah,
hello.
Exactly.
How are you?
So when you call them, they know who you are. It makes you more familiar.
Yeah.
Sometimes I call people 20 times in a row. After they hear my name on their voicemail 20 times in a row, I'm familiar now. They'll answer the phone.
Yeah, it's like we always say, it's touch points. You know, people have to know who you are, what you are, and know your voice. I write letters out to companies, and I sign the letters. I handwrite the envelope, send it out to the client, telling them what we do. Touch one. And,
Absolutely.
And what I laugh at as well is, like yourself, I came from a very lucrative job. We were probably called the Billionaires Boys Club. Cash was an issue to us every week. Every month we were getting our paychecks. We were driving fast cars. We were living the dream. And then it all sort of ends when you decide to go out on your own. So, yeah, I understand what you're saying. I feel your love and your passion.
Yeah, listen, I know what works, and I know my clients know what works. And I know that the basics of reaching out to people work. Now, you can make it better. You can make it easier. Like you said, there can be a cadence. I believe in a balanced prospecting methodology. So I believe that you should call. You should, if you're a person that's not an inside salesperson in the field, you should go knock on someone's door. You should walk in their business. You should have a relationship with them on social media if you can. You should send them an email. You should send them text messages. You should write physical letters and send those. Exactly. Stalk them at night. Send smoke signals. Send a carrier pigeon. Yeah. You know, whatever it takes, you should do that. But the message that you're seeing on social media, there was a moron that put one up yesterday that said, you know, salespeople shouldn't even call people because it's irritating to them. Well, yeah, it's irritating to them. Hell yeah, it's irritating to them. Nobody wants to talk to you when you interrupt their day. But if you don't interrupt their day, you're not going to sell anything. If you don't sell anything, you're not going to be able to pay your mortgage and feed your family. I mean, the whole point of selling is that you're interrupting someone who wasn't expecting you to be there, and you engage them and you sell them something they weren't thinking about buying. Otherwise, it's called order taking.
Well,
I mean, that's the point.
Let me give you this. I was speaking to a lady yesterday, and she said she was at a course, and the guy at the course raised their hand and says, "Who here doesn't like salespeople?" And they all put up their hands, and they went, "What are you doing? You're all self-employed. You're all salespeople."
Yes, right.
You know, and it annoys me there where, you know, if anyone ever calls me or sends me an email, I respond to them. And if they call me, I listen to the sales guy. I know I'm not going to buy, but I listen to him. And I hate when people, you know, go, "Oh, salespeople," and hang up on them. Yeah. You know, this guy's just doing his job. Give him the time of the day. You're in business. You're looking to attract people. How would you like people treating you like that? So I say treat people like the way you like to be treated yourself.
Well, it's fantastic when I go to a businesses, and I have clients that I'll walk up and I'll take pictures and show them. I'm like, you got a no solicitation sign out on the outside of your building, and you have an entire sales team back here that you have me trained to go out and go knock on doors of people that are in buildings just like yours. Like, what kind of a message are you sending? I don't want salespeople to come in my building, but I want my salespeople to go in other people's buildings.
Yeah.
You know, so it's the, you know, but that's what salespeople do. Good salespeople walk past the no solicitation sign, and they walk through the door and they engage people.
Yeah.
Look, and if you're like, you can't do that if you're so sensitive to rejection that it's so uncomfortable that it makes you, like you puke in the parking lot before you walk in places. Sales is not the right place for you. It's not for everybody, and that's okay. There's no problem with that. But if you're going to be in sales, don't listen to all of these there's charlatans who are pandering to you, playing to your worst fears, mostly because they can't do it themselves and they just want company for their misery.
Anytime you think of something, think to 5 seconds, do it, because the brain kicks in, the mind kicks in, and you don't do it.
It's true.
I've done a video on it. It'll be up on LinkedIn now in the next day or so. I'm calling a playbook, and I think that every sales company should have a playbook. And the playbook is in, how do your guys meet and greet? When do they send that email out? What is the response after that first email? What is the response after when they make that call, when they call? So it's a playbook. And you don't send a football team out onto a field and they're all running around doing their own thing, bouncing off each other. They have a playbook, and your sales team should have the same process.
Absolutely. Well, that's one of the services that we provide as a company. I have a team of people. We develop playbooks for companies, and we do them in hard copy. We have cool apps that we can build for the sales team. So if you're out there, and you're walking into a particular type of business, you can dial in and say, okay, in this particular business, what's the play that we run for this type of business in this vertical? So yeah, you're exactly right. And that's taking books like Fanatical Prospecting that are built for a general audience, and then dialing a system in specific to your company, because every company, every system is different. The way you go about business is different. Your vision for who you are is different. Your message is different. And I do not believe in a one-size-fits-all process for sales. I think that everything works in sales, sometimes for everybody, depending on where you are. So every organization, to your point, needs to have a unique set of plays that they run for their sales organization, and then they teach that over and over and over again, just like a football team would teach, just like a rugby team would teach. You have a set of plays and you run them, and when you do that systematically, it's almost impossible to lose.
It is indeed. I'm just going to take a short break. Are you looking to boost your performance, motivate your sales team, have an all-round structure to your marketing? Get in touch with myself at Breakthrough Brands, or contact me at joe@jdc.ie. So, look, we're talking about sales and we're talking about prospecting. Why do people fear prospecting?
Well, the reason they fear prospecting is because they fear rejection. And they fear rejection because it's a natural tendency for human beings. Human beings are built to be sensitive to rejection. And the reason that we're built to be sensitive to rejection is because through evolution, rejection teaches us how to operate with other human beings, where the lines are drawn with other human beings. So over time, human beings who developed a sensitivity to rejection were more likely over time to perpetuate their genes. They were able to continue to be a part of the gene pool, and people who were oblivious to rejection typically were cast out and didn't make it. So it's natural for you as a human being to see rejection as something that is to be avoided. But the thing for salespeople is that it's a job where you have to seek out rejection. So you have to do something that for a human being is completely unnatural. So for me, I always begin there. Look, it's okay that you feel, trepidation before you do a prospecting call, because you feel like you don't want to be pushy, that you don't want to be rejected. The truth, though, is that in sales, you're not actually getting rejected. I mean, every once in a while, somebody will say, screw you on the telephone. But I mean, for the most part, we know the truth. And that's just a handful of people that really reject you. Most of the time, it's just an objection. It's an objection to meeting with you. I'm not interested, or we already have a vendor, or I don't have time right now, or call me in 3 weeks or whatever. Mostly it's that. And those are objections. And the problem for most people is that they don't see the difference between an objection and a rejection. So for a salesperson, the first step is just to be aware of the fact that when you get a prospecting objection, it feels like rejection, and that's why you don't want to do it. And then where I come from is I always think about what's on the other side of that. Like, what do I want?
Yeah.
So, for example, I told you earlier in the show, like I had to look across the table at my family who, when I said I'm going to build a business, and I wanted them to be proud of me. I wanted to be able to feed them. I wanted to be successful. So when I sat in my office and made cold calls, all day long to businesses that didn't know me with not a very big or good value proposition, did I feel, trepidatious? Yeah. Did I feel like I was getting rejected? Yeah. Was it uncomfortable? Absolutely. I mean, all of those things were true. However, what I really, really wanted was I wanted a successful business.
Yeah.
So I used that desire, right, to help me deal with the natural emotional response to rejection so that I could seek out rejection and I could deal with it and I could get what I wanted. And every salesperson, I believe, has to do some level of that, depending on where you fit on the, on the scale from, pure psychopath where you feel nothing, right, to people who are super empathetic and they really feel rejection. So there's some place in there that most of us fit, and you just have to figure out what it is that allows you to just catch the rejection and the objections that you're getting, deal with them, and move on to the next one. And once you have that system in place, then it's relatively easy to keep going. But I don't want to discount. I'm not a, I don't like to glorify rejection. Nobody wants to feel rejected, and there's nothing that's cool about doing that. It's just that you have to understand in sales, this is part of the game. You have to seek it out. This is what you have to do. And like you said earlier, like if you're unwilling to do that, like if you look at it and you can't do it, go do something else. There are tons of things out there that are way better than this. And there's nothing fun about, waking up every day and not wanting to go do your job. It's not fun.
There's two things that pop to mind there. One, I think the reason why I'm good at sales, because when I was a pimpled Irish redhead, the amount of rejections I got from girls, which helped me on the rejection path. And now I think that I'm going to do a reverse psychology, that when I make cold calls, I'm hoping to get 10 rejections a day. And every one I do, I'd ring a bell.
I used to do that. I would count no's. Like I want to find out. I tried, like I'm trying to get rejected. So, every day I was like, I want to get 60 people to tell me no today. Yeah. That's how I would do it. So in my early days, I would I would put a little chit mark on the paper every time somebody told me no. Yeah, and that was my goal. Just how many no's can I get?
And your wife is going, oh my God, he must have made a new sale. He's made he's made 90 rings today.
Well, I would call my wife and go, I've been told no 60 times a day. And she'd go, you are insane. You've lost your mind. Yeah. I'm like, it's awesome. People are rejecting me.
These are talking to me.
It was just a game,
Yeah. I think the reason why people are frightened of prospecting or using the phone, picking them up, they have, say, someone sitting on their prospect list, and at that moment in time, they are a prospect. And if they ring that person up and that person tells them no, they are no longer in that pipeline of a prospect, and that's what they fear. So they still have 200, 300 people, and they're fearful if they go through them and 90% of them say no, the prospect list is declining. Does that make sense?
It does, and it's a fallacy.
Yeah.
Because somebody said no today, and I love what you said, because I see salespeople mow through lists like that. I had an executive in one of our Fanatical Prospecting boot camps who was proving to his salespeople that what you just explained was a fallacy. We did 6 prospecting blocks in this boot camp. He started off with a list of 25 names on it. And all he did was call that same 25 names the entire time. And he got beat up, rejected. He got hit by gatekeepers. He got voicemail. He got this. But at the end of 6 30-minute call blocks, calling the same 25 prospects over and over and over again, he ended up with 11 appointments.
Yeah.
And what he was explaining to his people is, it's the process of prospecting that creates familiarity. It's the process of prospecting that gives you additional information that allows you on the next call to say the right thing to get the person to meet with you, to create enough interest. And what he was trying to explain to his people is, I give you a list of 1,000 people, you call them all once and then tell me you don't have any list left.
Yeah, and that's it.
So it is persistence. It is an ongoing process. Now, if the person says, listen, Jeb, don't ever call me again, ever, because I don't make any decisions at this company about this particular product. You can call me until the cows come home, but it's not going to change anything. Okay, I might get a clue that maybe that's not the right person to call. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to call that company. I'm just not going to call that person. So I'm just going to go find someone else in that company to call, and I'm going to call them 25 times until they tell me they can either make the decision or I need to move on to someone else. So but that idea, if I call once and move on, a lot of that's just driven by
it's getting
fear.
to them. It's there's another thing as well that you get sales guys that will, and we try and educate them. They get on the phone and they go, "Hi, I'm such and such from Ting," and they're trying to squeeze everything in, all the right in, and I have to do this and we have to do that, and they're doing it, and they're trying to jam everything in one breath in the first 30 seconds. Hopefully that something they say might spark your man to go, okay, let me know more. And it's ridiculous. They should just get in and go, look, my job here is to tell you exactly what I have, and it's your job to make that decision.
Yes.
And just talk to them in a way that they're having a normal conversation with a normal person on the other side.
Absolutely. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Yeah. It's just a conversation. And I was coaching one of my salespeople 2 nights ago on this, and he's getting people on the telephone. He's got them engaged, and then they say, well, tell me about this. And he just dumps everything on top of them versus just set the appointment. Set an appointment for 15 minutes so that you can have a conversation with them, because you just interrupted their day. And no matter what you say, they weren't prepared for it. Yeah. So you want to make sure they're prepared for it. So just keep it simple and just get the time. We're talking about pretty big purchases in terms of sales training and consulting, and you're not gonna get somebody to buy that in a 30-second phone call. No. To just slow down, take your time, and the right prospects will set the time aside to spend with you.
I believe that the phone should be only used for appointments.
Absolutely.
What about the other thing as well about cold calling and knocking at doors? And we talk about receptionists. And I say that receptionists aren't gatekeepers. Receptionists should be your friends, because they're the people that get you into the next level. How do you handle receptionists?
I'm nice to them. I treat them like human beings.
Yeah.
I show them respect. I ask them for information. For me, anybody, gatekeepers, receptionists, anybody that works there has information that when they give it to me makes my list better, makes the information better, makes it more likely that when I do get the person that I need to talk to on the telephone, that I can convert them into an appointment. And I don't believe in tricks. I don't believe in getting frustrated. The receptionist has a job. They're a human being. They probably have a family just like you. They probably have the same hopes and dreams and wishes. So their job is to protect their company from you. So the easiest way to get past them is to be a human being, be authentic, be nice, and build a relationship. Sometimes it takes me 4 or 5 conversations with the receptionist before they acquiesce and go, I'll help you and I'll show you what to do. And then they give me the keys to the kingdom.
There's one thing I'm going to share with you salespeople. They know all the tricks. When you ring up and pretend that the MD, or they know all those tricks. Like, hi, how are you today? Oh, here we go, another sales guy. Or is John there? Oh, here we go. They know them all because they get 20, 30 calls a day. So that's what I'm telling all the salespeople out there. Cop on.
That is exactly right.
What's the future for you?
But we're just growing. We're my company is a mission to be a $25 million company in the next 5 years, and we're right on track for that. So we're adding, we're scaling by adding trainers. I've got a new book coming out in the spring called Objections that we believe is going to be really, really big, and we're already building the training content around that. It's a follow-up to Sales EQ, which is a follow-up to Fanatical Prospecting. So we'll have 4 books in that series. So there'll be a book coming behind Objections. I've got another book coming out in the fall called Fanatical Military Recruiting that's written primarily for voluntary military organizations like the United States military. We have a voluntary force. So they have huge recruiting organizations that are essentially salespeople, selling people into a career in the military. And then next year we'll have the Fanatical Prospecting playbook will be out sometime in the spring. But we're cranking. We love what we do. I sometimes have to pinch myself, man, because I wake up every day and I get to do the coolest job on earth, and that's to help people sell more and make more money and do better for their family. And I just can't imagine a better place to be.
It's funny. Do you know that Lee the Boy, and that's who I was trained by, his training course was the main training course for recruiting the military in the US?
I had no idea.
Yeah,
How
and
about that?
yeah, at one stage he had probably trained more people than anyone else in America. And I
Wow.
and I was trained by him and his training course. And God rest his soul
Wow.
now. I worked with the U.S. military with Autosource for nearly 15 years. I was on aircraft carriers and traveling around the world for
Wow.
selling cars to the U.S. military. All over Europe, all over the States, Guam, Singapore, all over. And it was his training that taught us how to sell cars to the American military.
How about that? Fantastic.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I'd sit on an
Small
aircraft
world.
carrier with 9,000 people with a laptop and would be pitching them cars. I'll tell you that story another day.
That is a cool story. I want to hear that for sure.
Yeah. And tell me, what business advice would you offer somebody?
The best business advice I can give you is to make yourself obsolete. And it's tough as an entrepreneur to do that, and it's tough as a leader to do that. But when you make yourself obsolete, what that means is that you are building a team of people around you that are as good as you are, that allow you to scale. And the problem with entrepreneurs in particular, the problem with, and this is my problem too, so I'm wearing this T-shirt, is that you build the business, you know where everything is, you have a lot of control over things, and everything begins to revolve around you. And
Delegate.
because of that, it's impossible to scale.
Yeah.
So it's learning to let go. It's learning to build leaders around you, learning to build the people and develop the people around you. The playbook that you were talking about earlier is a big piece of that. That's if you can make yourself obsolete, you can scale really, really fast. And you no matter who you are as a leader or an entrepreneur, sooner or later you're going to come face to face with the fact that you have to do this. I have, and many times in my life, and it's an excruciating process to begin letting go. But when you do, you start moving a lot faster.
Cut the apron strings.
Absolutely.
Share your details. Let people know your website, your books, where they can find you.
Well, my website is salesgravy.com, SalesGravy.com. So we've got tons of free resources there, tons of articles, all kinds of stuff. So go to salesgravy.com. My personal website, if you want to engage me individually, is jebblount.com. And my last name is spelled B-L-O-U-N-T. So JEBBLOUNT, jebblount.com. You can reach me on LinkedIn. I'm at Jeb Blount. Just look me up. And on Twitter, I'm at SalesGravy. Instagram, I'm at SalesGravy. Facebook, I'm /SalesGravy. Yeah. On YouTube, I am /SalesGravy. And definitely check me out on YouTube. I put a new video up almost every single day. And then you can check me out on iTunes, in Stitcher Radio, and wherever you get your podcast. Just type in either Sales Gravy or my name, and you'll be able to grab my podcast.
Yeah, I just went with Joe Dalton, or Breakthrough Brands. Very easy, right across the board. I know you said to me, Joe, please don't ask me to pick a song. But look, it's a tradition here, and it's a radio station, and we like people to play out on the show. So go on, give me a song.
Gosh,
come on.
No, I just don't listen to that much music.
I know,
I listen to audiobooks all the time.
Yeah, you're like me, all the time.
Give me 1 second. I'm going to give you one song, okay? Ed Sheeran, Bloodstream. I like that song.
Okay. Jeb, it's been a pleasure to have you on. I'm hoping we'll meet someday. I'm hoping to get over to the States sometime this year to do some keynote speaking. So hopefully our paths will cross and we'll meet in person. Until then, thank you for coming on to Breakthrough Brands, and I wish you all the success.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
I've been spending out the time, couple women by my side. I got sinning on my mind, sipping on red wine, I've been sitting here for ages, ripping out the pages. How'd I get so faded? How'd I get so faded? Oh, no, no, don't leave me lonely now. If you love me, how'd you never love? Ooh, color crimson in my eyes. One or two could free my mind. This is how it ends. I feel the chemicals burn in my bloodstream, fading out again. I feel the chemicals burn in my bloodstream. So tell me when it kicks in. Well, tell me when it kicks in. I've been looking for a lover, thought I'd find her in a bottle. God, make me another one. I'll be feeling this tomorrow. Lord, forgive me for the things I've done. I was never meant to hurt no one. I saw scars upon a broken-hearted lover. Oh, no, no, don't leave me lonely now. If you love me, how'd you never learn? Crimson in my eyes, one or two could free my mind. This is how it ends. I feel the chemicals burn in my bloodstream, fading out again. I feel the chemicals burn in my bloodstream. So tell me when it kicks in. Well, tell me when it kicks in.
This show was sponsored by Harris Myers, your sales and marketing agency, helping you develop a better sales and marketing pipeline.